Welcome to Knowledgent. Let the good times roll. We are driving down Annunciation Street in the Lower Garden District. That's the bakery bar right there on the right. Some nice desserts and drinks when they're open. We're turning right onto Irado Street. This is an old streetcar track right here, and it's still a brick street. Not many of those left in the city these days. On the left up here is the old location of the Courtyard Brewery, but they just recently relocated to a new location around the corner. The orange building on the left is French Truck Coffee. The green building right there across the street on the left is Barrel Proof Bar. It used to be Bridge Lounge for many years before that with great mojitos. We just turned left on Magazine Street. And you'll see this blue building on the left. There's some folks right there. That is Blue Giant, a new Chinese joint. There's lots of other bars, restaurants there to the left. I don't see any folks around those. Magazine Street is a major economic thoroughfare with a lot of businesses and houses also. So this is quite a busy street usually. This is definitely more lively around in this area than the French Quarter is, because a lot more people actually live in this area. With the rapid pace of my travel, I will probably miss businesses that are open. So for any of those that I miss, I am sorry. And just comment below if you're open. To the right is an old orphanage that's been many things and is now being converted into, I think, condos is the latest development. There's a liquor distillery on the left we just passed. You'll see lots of people on the streets here. It's brand new office buildings that they built on the right that don't really fit in with the character of the neighborhood. And you can see the bicyclist in front of me running through a red light, which is unfortunately very common here, and we have a lot of them that get killed because they refuse to follow the same road, same rules, requirements. So there's multiple restaurants on both sides of the street here that we're going by. Some of them are open doing carry-out, some are not. That's a rental venue on the right where they have parties out in the courtyard there to the right over there. More restaurants on the left. And that's Sophie Wright Park to the right of us. Down next to Sophie Wright Place, which is next to Sophie Wright Park. Down the Hatch Bar on the left, they're open. And then we have Half Moon Bar on the right there, and High Volt Coffee on the left, which is open. Now we'll be merging on to Camp Street right here. And then we have Camp Street Finger Park on the left. So this is a very active area. The parks are all pretty active outside. Lots of people are getting a lot more exercise in their lives during this time. So we're all getting way more fit right now. Now we're coming up onto another park on the left there. You'll see lots of people. That is Coliseum Square Park. One of our infamous traffic cameras on the left there. There's a dog walker. Lots of dog walkers out all over the city these days. Hey, look, it's the same bicyclist running yet another red light. Okay, and then we jump back to Magazine Street where we started from without turning. We're going to continue straight down Magazine now. So there's a Magazine discount grocery there on the left. There's Juan's Flying Burrito on the left. There's Maya's on the right. Juan's is closed currently. Maya's is open. The next stoplight intersection is Jackson Avenue, where we will depart the Lower Garden District and enter the Garden District. Dini's Seafood on the left right there is currently open doing carryout. On the right, I believe both Stein's and District are open serving food, as is the Little Korea on the left, all doing carryout as far as I'm aware of at the moment. Now that we've passed over Jackson Avenue, we are proceeding down Magazine Street in the Garden District. Now there is still some debate and argument over the official boundaries and where the Lower Garden District begins and ends and the Garden District begins and ends. So it's always fun in New Orleans debating with people about their neighborhoods. To further complicate matters, to the left is actually the Irish Channel down to Chapatoula Street, and the right is the Garden District to St. Charles, or Carondelet Street, depending on who you ask. We have Tracy's Bar coming up on the left. They are closed. They have been doing takeout crawfish a few days a week though. Coquette on the left. Don't know if they're open or not. Sake Cafe on the left, I think, is doing carryout. We have the fire station on the left coming up. French Truck Coffee on the right has been closed. Joey K's on the right is open doing carryout. Golden Dragon on the right also doing carryout. The Rendezvous Bar on the right definitely closed. The Vintage on the right there, and that place has been a lifesaver for me as they've had hot coffee and good coffee. Balcony Bar on the right closed. They were doing food, but now they're boarded up and no longer doing anything. Romart on the right, they're closing early these days. Bulldog on the left closed, several other restaurants closed. Romart generally has the cheapest beer prices in town. Unfortunately, Big Fishman on the right closed. The best crawfish in the city, in my opinion. There's Slim Goodies Diner that is open doing food. Right here on the left, the new seafood place is open. And it's simply named Boyle as Seafood House. And on the right, Poke Loa is also open doing food. So we just turned onto Louisiana Street, and now we're officially entering into the exact edge of the Garden District. There are so many beautiful buildings here, next to some of these really ugly, modern, atrocious buildings that just really don't fit into the area. Coming up on the right is the Fresh Market grocery store, which has been a great grocery store. It's in an old funeral home that a certain national book company completely gutted and ripped out the very elegant interior, unfortunately. This location was also one of the stops for the double-decker British buses that ran tours throughout the city, and you can see those are also currently suspended. So now we're turning right onto St. Charles Avenue. So do notice in the neutral ground, or for many of those in other parts of the country, the median there in the center, those are the streetcar tracks. So we will very likely see a streetcar at some point in time running down St. Charles. You'll also see a mix of many beautiful houses along with some modern large buildings and apartment buildings that are quite out of place. The neutral ground and the streetcar tracks are very popular places for people to go and run on, so you will probably see quite a few people walking, running, walking their dogs all up on the neutral ground. Now we're coming up on Washington Avenue. This is near my old neighborhood in the Garden District. Now we're going to jump back to Magazine and turn right onto Washington for a very important tour of a spot that's quite famous to many people and dear in the hearts of most folks in New Orleans. So if you look up ahead and see the turquoise color, that is Commander's Palace coming up on the right. So Commander's is currently still doing carry-out food, and they're selling some of their food through the local grocery store Rouse's. On the left, we have Lafayette Cemetery number 1. So this is a very popular area with tourists just because they can eat a great meal and tour one of our interesting graveyards all in one stop. This is Britannia we're going across now. That's the rink on the right that has several businesses. Most importantly, in my life, typically the coffee shop there. Now we will be turning right again onto St. Charles. And perfect timing, as there is a streetcar right in front of us that we will be catching up to eventually, most likely. This is the Garden District, and it was called the Garden District because the Americans in the American sector here had their gardens on the outside, whereas the Creole, French and Spanish, had their gardens on the inside of their courtyards and the much more cramped area of the French Quarter. Sadly, most of the space for the gardens is long gone, and it's gotten way too crowded in this area. And we seem to continue to lose our wonderful old houses and have them replaced with large monstrosities of huge condo buildings and various types of other atrocious commercial buildings that just don't fit the nature of the area. There's Mr. John's Steakhouse on the left, the best steakhouse in New Orleans, in my opinion. To the right, you can just make out the stairs of the Eiffel Society, which originally was in the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Bay on the left. We call it a streetcar, not a trolley, so I don't know how it ever got the name trolley stop. People get really angry in New Orleans if you call the streetcar a trolley, except when you talk about the trolley stop restaurant. Houston's is on the left. It's probably one of the best national chains there is, so it can survive in this area. Avenue Pub on the right is closed. It's one of the best beer bars in the area. And then we get into a mix of all kinds of fast food places combined with some good local places. The AT&T building on the right is still open. I think that's the last store in the New Orleans area that they've kept open so far. All right, we're heading to the edge of the area now. And as you can see, it's definitely way more lively in this area than the French Quarter was. And that's mainly just a big factor and demonstration of how few residents really live in the French Quarter area these days. And there's just a huge difference in the number of people that live in this area of the Garden District and Lower Garden District and Irish Channel than we have in the French Quarter these days. So here we are going towards Lee Circle, and this will be the border. I still see a few people riding the streetcar in the daytime, but at night this is typically what I see going through the area. If I were to travel forward in time from just a few months ago, I would think it was Halloween. It's such an unusual sight to see. If you would like to follow me on Yelp, I have thousands of pictures and reviews on there. You can also follow me on Instagram for more photos. And please like this video and subscribe to the NOLA Gent channel. We would also love it if you would help us out on Patreon and help the channel continue to have more content produced. Thank you very much.